The crystal champagne flute shattered in my father's grip, sending shards and expensive bubbles across our mahogany dining table. My 30th birthday dinner had just transformed into a nightmare. I'm Blair, and this was supposed to be my milestone celebration. Instead, my mother Charlotte chose this moment to present me with an envelope containing what she claimed was evidence of my theft from the family business. The accusation hung in the air like poison. "Explain this," my father Harold demanded, his face turning that dangerous shade of red I'd grown to fear since childhood. He thrust the papers toward me, his hands trembling with rage. "I don't understand," I said, scanning the documents. They showed wire transfers, account statements, and a series of transactions I'd never seen before. "These aren't mine. I've never—" "Don't lie to me!" Harold slammed his fist on the table, making everyone jump. My sister Lindsay grabbed my hand under the table, squeezing it tight. "Harold, darling, please calm down," my mother said, her voice dripping with fake concern. "I'm sure Blair can explain why she's been siphoning money into offshore accounts." I looked into my mother's eyes and saw something I'd never noticed before, a glint of satisfaction. That's when I knew. This was no mistake. This was calculated. "This is insane," I said, standing up. "I haven't stolen anything. Someone's setting me up." "The evidence is quite clear," Charlotte sighed, touching my father's arm. I didn't want to believe it either, but the numbers don't lie. Nearly $2 million, Blair. "What were you thinking?" Lindsay gasped beside me. $2 million? "I've already spoken with the board," Harold growled. "You have 24 hours to confess and return the money, or you're not only fired, you're out of this family." "Dad, please." "No." He stood up, towering over me. "I've given you everything. A position in the company, trust, responsibility, and this is how you repay me?" I looked around the table at the faces I'd known all my life. My father, veins pulsing in his neck. Lindsay, tears streaming down her cheeks. And my mother, wearing that perfect mask of concern that didn't quite reach her eyes. "I didn't do this," I said firmly, "and I can prove it." Charlotte's expression flickered for just a moment, so brief I almost missed it, but it was there. Fear. "There's nothing to prove," she said quickly. "The evidence is conclusive." "Then you won't mind if I hire my own forensic accountant to review everything?" I challenged, watching her carefully. "Every transaction, every document, every signature?" "That won't be necessary," Charlotte cut in. "We've already had everything verified." "By whom?" I demanded. "Enough?" Harold roared. 24 hours, Blair. Not a minute more." I grabbed my purse and stood up, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. "You want the truth, Dad? Ask your wife where she was last Tuesday between 2 and 4 p.m. Ask her about the safety deposit box at First National. Ask her why she's so desperate to push me out of the company right now." Charlotte's face went white. Bull's eye. "Get out," Harold said, his voice deadly quiet. "Get out of my house." I walked to the door, then turned back one last time. "Happy birthday to me, right? Don't worry, Mom. I'll make sure this is a celebration you'll never forget." The heavy front door slammed behind me with satisfying force. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I'd hoped I'd never have to use. "Ricky, it's Blair. Remember that favor you owe me? I need it now, and I need you to connect me with Emerson Fox." I got into my car and started the engine, my mind racing. My mother thought she was so clever, but she'd made one crucial mistake. She didn't know about the photos I'd taken last week or the conversations I'd recorded. She had no idea I'd been watching her for months, gathering evidence of her own schemes. She wanted to play games? Fine. But she'd forgotten who taught me how to play. As I pulled away from the mansion I'd grown up in, my phone buzzed with a text from Lindsay. "What's really going on?" I typed back quickly, "Truth time, sis, but not over text. Meet me tomorrow at the Blue Room, 10 a.m. Come alone." The city lights blurred as I drove, my mother's satisfied smirk burning in my memory. She thought she'd won, thought she'd finally found a way to push me out and take complete control. But she had no idea what was coming. Sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold, it's served with proof. And I had plenty of that. The Blue Room was nearly empty when Lindsay walked in, her designer heels clicking against the hardwood floor. She looked like she hadn't slept, dark circles visible even under carefully applied concealer. "You look terrible," I said as she slid into the booth across from me. Yeah, well, watching our family implode will do that. She grabbed my untouched coffee and took a long sip. Start talking, Blair. What did you mean about Mom and the safety deposit box? I pulled out my phone and showed her a photo. This is Mom entering First National last Tuesday. Notice the timestamp, 2:15 p.m. She told Dad she was at her charity board meeting. That doesn't prove anything, Lindsay said, but I could hear the uncertainty in her voice. No? How about this? I swiped to the next photo. Here she is meeting with James from accounting, the same James who verified those transactions in my name. Lindsay's hands started trembling. Blair, if you're suggesting what I think you're suggesting, Mom's been planning this for months, I said, keeping my voice low. Remember when Dad had that health scare last year? She's been positioning herself ever since, trying to gain more control of the company. I'm the only thing standing in her way. But why? Dad gave her everything she wanted. I laughed bitterly. Not everything. She wants to sell the company. Dad would never agree to that. It's his legacy. But with me discredited and you already focused on your own career, she could convince him to retire, Lindsay finished, realization dawning on her face. Oh God, Blair. The waitress appeared with fresh coffee, and we fell silent until she left. There's more, I said, pulling out a small recorder. Listen to this. Charlotte's voice filled our quiet corner. James, I need those documents modified exactly as we discussed. Blair's signature needs to be perfect. Yes, the payment will be made as agreed. No one will ever know. Lindsay's face went pale. When did you record this? Last week. I've been watching her ever since I overheard her talking about handling the Blair situation on the phone. Why didn't you tell Dad? Would he have believed me? I asked. You know how he is with her. She's got him wrapped around her finger. The cafe door chimed, and I looked up to see my father walking in. My heart stopped. Speaking of the devil, I muttered. Harold spotted us and strode over, his face set in hard lines. Lindsay, go home. Dad, wait. Now. Lindsay shot me an apologetic look and squeezed my hand before leaving. Harold took her place in the booth. You've got some nerve, he said, trying to turn your sister against your mother. I'm not turning anyone against anyone, I replied. I'm just showing her the truth. The same truth I'm going to show you if you'll listen. The only truth I need to see was in those documents last night. Those documents are fake, Dad. Mom orchestrated this whole thing. His face reddened. Watch yourself, Blair. That's your mother you're talking about. Yes, my mother who's trying to frame me for embezzlement so she can push me out and convince you to sell the company. That got his attention. What did you say? You heard me. Why do you think she's been meeting with Vernon Industries? Those weren't charity lunches, Dad. They were acquisition talks. You're lying, he said, but there was a flicker of doubt in his eyes. I pulled out the photos and the recorder. Am I? Take these. Listen to them. Look at the evidence yourself, but do it privately, where she can't explain it away. He stared at the items for a long moment before slowly taking them. If you're wrong about this, he warned. I'm not, but if I am, I'll sign a confession and walk away from everything. You have my word. Harold stood up, tucking the evidence into his jacket pocket. 24 hours, Blair. That hasn't changed. One more thing, I called as he turned to leave. Check Mom's calendar for next Tuesday. She has another meeting scheduled with Vernon Industries. Might want to show up unannounced. He left without responding, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. The seed of doubt was planted. My phone buzzed with a text from Ricky. Meeting set with Emerson. 2 p.m. today. His office. I smiled. Emerson Fox had been my father's business partner for 30 years. He also had his own history with my mother, one she thought nobody knew about. If anyone could help me expose the truth, it would be him. I left enough cash on the table to cover both coffees and headed for the door. As I stepped outside, another text came through. This one from an unknown number. Back off while you still can. Some secrets should stay buried. I screenshot the message and saved it to my evidence folder. Mom was getting nervous. Good. Time to pay Emerson a visit and show him exactly what Charlotte had been up to. After all, he deserved to know how she was planning to sell off the company he'd helped build. Let the games begin. Emerson's corner office hadn't changed in 20 years. Same leather chairs, same view of the city skyline, same smell of expensive cigars. He stood as I entered, his silver hair catching the afternoon light. "Blair?" he said, gesturing to a chair. I must admit, I was surprised to get your message. "Not as surprised as I was to find these," I replied, sliding a manila envelope across his desk. He opened it slowly, his expression changing as he examined the contents. Photos of my mother leaving Vernon Industries, copies of emails discussing company valuations, and a draft purchase agreement with his name conspicuously absent. "Where did you get these?" His voice was carefully neutral. "Does it matter? They're real, and you know it." I leaned forward. "She's planning to cut you out, Emerson, just like she's trying to cut me out." He sat back, rubbing his temples. "Your mother always was ambitious. That's one word for it. I have another: criminal. Those are dangerous accusations, Blair. So is falsifying documents to frame your daughter for embezzlement." I pulled out my phone and played the recording of Charlotte and James. Emerson's face darkened with each word. "Damn it, Charlotte," he muttered. Then louder, "What do you want from me?" "The truth. About everything, including what happened between you and my mother 15 years ago." His head snapped up. "How do you—" "I found the letters," I said, "hidden in that old filing cabinet in the basement. Very passionate stuff, Emerson. Does Dad know?" "That was a long time ago," he said quietly. "A mistake. A mistake she's been holding over your head ever since, right? That's why you've looked the other way while she's been making these backdoor deals." He stood up abruptly, walking to the window. "Your father is my best friend. Then help me save his company. Help me stop her before she destroys everything he's built." The intercom buzzed. "Mr. Fox, Mrs. Mitchell is here to see you." Emerson and I locked eyes. He pressed the intercom button. "Send her in." "Hide," he hissed at me, pointing to the adjacent conference room. I slipped inside just as my mother's voice filled the office. "Emerson, darling, we need to talk about Blair." "Yes, we do." His voice was cold. "Sit down, Charlotte." Through the crack in the door, I watched my mother settle gracefully into a chair. She's making wild accusations, trying to turn everyone against me. You haven't heard from her, have you? Would it matter if I had? Of course it would. She's unstable, Emerson. The stress of the company, the pressure, it's affected her judgment. These delusions about me trying to sell the company. Like these delusions? He dropped the Vernon Industries documents on the desk. Charlotte's composure cracked for just a second. "Where did you get those?" "Does it matter? They're real, aren't they?" "Emerson, please. You know how Harold is about the company. He'll never agree to sell, even though it's the smart move. Sometimes we have to guide people to the right decision. By framing your daughter for embezzlement?" She laughed, but it sounded hollow. "Is that what Blair told you? And you believed her? Remember who knows your secrets, Emerson. Remember what's at stake. Are you threatening me, Charlotte? I'm reminding you where your loyalties should lie." She stood up, smoothing her skirt. "Don't make me an enemy, Emerson. You won't like the consequences." After she left, I emerged from the conference room. Emerson looked years older. "Well," I said, "that was illuminating." "She'll destroy us all," he muttered. "Not if we stop her first." I sat down across from him. "I need access to the company's financial records. All of them, going back 5 years. That's impossible without board approval, unless the request comes from a board member." I raised my eyebrows meaningfully. He stared at me for a long moment. "If I do this, there's no going back. Your mother will know exactly who helped you." "She's already threatening you, Emerson. What more can she do?" He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a security badge. "Level 10 access. It'll get you into the records room after hours. But Blair?" He caught my arm as I reached for the badge. "Be careful. Your mother isn't the only one with secrets in those files." I took the badge, tucking it into my pocket. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. This could end badly for all of us." As I turned to leave, he called out, "Blair, for what it's worth, I'm sorry about everything." I nodded and left his office, my mind already racing with plans. Tonight, I'd get the proof I needed, but first I had to call Ricky. If I was going to break into the company records room, I'd need his expertise in digital security. My phone buzzed with another text from the unknown number. You're playing a dangerous game. Ask Emerson what really happened the night of the merger. I smiled. Finally, a real lead. Time to find out what other skeletons were hiding in the family closet. You know this is insane, right? Ricky's voice crackled through my earpiece as I swiped Emerson's badge at the records room door. It was 11 p.m. and the office floor was deserted. Less talking, more hacking, I whispered. Are you into the security system? Almost there. Cameras are on loop. You've got 30 minutes before the system resets. The door clicked open and I slipped inside. Rows of filing cabinets lined the walls, with a computer terminal in the center. Okay, I'm in. Talk me through this. Boot up the terminal, I'll remote in and bypass the login. I followed his instructions, watching as the screen came to life and codes scrolled past. How did you get so good at this stuff anyway? Let's just say my previous job wasn't entirely legal. Found it, accessing files from the merger period now. Documents started populating the screen. Financial reports, board meeting minutes, and... Wait, stop, go back to that email thread. My heart pounded as I read the exchange between my mother and the Vernon Industries CEO from 5 years ago. Ricky, are you seeing this? Holy shit, he breathed. They've been planning this takeover for years. And look who else was copied on these emails. James from accounting. He's been helping her cook the book since before Dad's health scare. Blair, there's something else. Check the attachment on that last email. I clicked it open and froze. It was a photograph of Emerson with a woman who wasn't his wife, dated just weeks before the original merger. The email text was simple. Insurance policy. Keep this safe. She's been blackmailing him, I said. That's how she kept him quiet all these years. Suddenly, the lights flicked on. I spun around to find Lindsay standing in the doorway, her face pale. What are you doing here? I hissed. Following you, she said, stepping inside. Blair, you need to stop this. Ricky, I'll call you back, I said, pulling out my earpiece. Mom knows what you're doing, Lindsay continued. She's furious. She said she'll press charges if you don't back off. Let her try. I gestured to the screen. Look at this, Lindsay. Look what she's been doing. She approached hesitantly, scanning the emails. Her hand flew to her mouth. That's not... She wouldn't... She did. She's been playing everyone for years. Dad, Emerson, us. We're all just pieces in her game. But why? We have everything we could want. Because everything isn't enough for her. She wants control. Complete control. Lindsay sank into a chair. What are you going to do? First, I'm going to copy all of this. I plugged in a USB drive. Then I'm going to... The computer screen suddenly went black. No. I frantically pressed keys. What happened? Someone remotely shut it down. I grabbed the USB drive. How much did it copy? Blair. Lindsay's voice shook. Your phone. I looked at my screen to find a new message. Nice try. Check your email. My inbox loaded to reveal dozens of photos. Me breaking into the records room, accessing files, copying data. The subject line read, Corporate espionage is a serious crime. She knew, I whispered. She knew I'd come here. We need to leave, now. Lindsay pulled my arm. Wait. I ran to the filing cabinets, yanking open drawers. There has to be hard copies. Blair, please. Found it. I pulled out a thick folder labeled Merger Documents, Original. Inside was everything. The real agreements, undoctored financial statements, and... What's that? Lindsay pointed to a sealed envelope that had fallen to the floor. I picked it up. The handwriting on the front was familiar. Dad's. It was dated the day before his health scare, addressed to Emerson. Take it, Lindsay urged. We can read it later. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. We killed the lights and pressed ourselves against the wall as a security guard walked past, his flashlight beam sweeping the room through the window. Once he passed, we slipped out and ran to the emergency stairs. We didn't stop until we reached my car in the parking garage. What the hell do we do now? Lindsay asked, breathing hard. Now? I pulled out my phone and dialed. Now we talk to Dad's lawyer. Violet needs to see this. Blair. Lindsay grabbed my hand. I'm sorry I didn't believe you before, about Mom. It's okay, but Lindsay, I met her eyes. This gets worse before it gets better. Are you with me? She nodded slowly. I'm with you. My phone buzzed again. Last warning. Back off or tomorrow's board meeting will be very uncomfortable for everyone. especially Harold. I started the car, my mind racing. The board meeting, of course. That's when she planned to make her move. We've got 12 hours, I told Lindsay. Time to see what's in Dad's letter. As we pulled away, I caught a glimpse of movement in my rearview mirror, a figure watching from the shadows. The game was changing, and tomorrow would decide everything. Violet's home office smelled like old books and expensive perfume. At 6 a.m., she looked impossibly put together in a crisp suit, reading Dad's letter with narrowed eyes. "This changes everything," she said finally, placing the letter on her desk. "How bad is it?" I asked. "Your father knew." She tapped the paper. "He knew about the planned takeover, about Charlotte's manipulation, everything. He was gathering evidence before his health scare." Lindsay gasped. "Are you saying Mom was responsible for Dad's heart attack?" "The letter suggests she may have been tampering with his medication." Violet's voice was grim. "Harold suspected but couldn't prove it. That's why he wrote to Emerson. Insurance, in case anything happened to him." My hands shook with rage. "She tried to kill him. And now she's trying to destroy you," Violet said. "The board meeting is in 5 hours. What's your plan?" I pulled out the folder from the records room. "We have proof of her dealings with Vernon Industries, evidence of cooking the books, and now this letter. It's enough to stop her." "It's enough to put her in prison," Violet corrected. "But timing is crucial. Charlotte will expect you to make a move at the meeting." "Then we'll make our move before." I turned to Lindsay. "Call Dad. Tell him to meet us at Violet's office in an hour. It's time he knew everything." Lindsay stepped out to make the call. Violet leaned forward. "Blair, there's something else you should know. Your mother came to see me yesterday." "What did she want?" "To draft new company bylaws. Ones that would give her full control if Harold becomes incapacitated again." My blood ran cold. "She's planning something for today." "Almost certainly." Violet opened her laptop. "Which is why I took the liberty of contacting some old friends at the SEC. They're very interested in these financial discrepancies." Lindsay burst back in, face pale. "Dad's not answering. I called the house. The housekeeper says Mom took him to the hospital an hour ago. Something about chest pains." "No," I breathed. "Not again." I grabbed my purse. "Violet, go," she said. "I'll handle the board meeting delay. Just get to your father." We raced to the hospital, breaking every speed limit. In the elevator, my phone buzzed with a message. "Too late, darling. Should have backed off when you had the chance." The ICU waiting room was empty except for my mother, who looked up with perfectly feigned concern. "Oh, girls, thank goodness you're here." "What did you do?" I snarled. "Blair." She stood up, affronted. "Your father had another episode. Thank God I was there to call the ambulance." "Like you were there last time?" I stepped closer. "What was it this time, Mom? More medication tampering?" Her eyes flickered to Lindsay, then back to me. "You're hysterical. The stress is clearly affecting you." "Mrs. Mitchell?" A doctor approached. "Your husband is asking for you." "Of course." She smiled sweetly. "Girls, wait here. Family only for now." "We are family," Lindsay snapped. "The board meeting starts in 4 hours." Charlotte reminded me softly. "Such a shame you'll miss it, waiting here at the hospital. I'll be sure to express your regrets." As she turned to follow the doctor, I grabbed her arm. "This isn't over." "Oh, sweetheart." She patted my cheek. It was over before it began. The moment she disappeared down the hall, I pulled out my phone. "Ricky, I need you to hack the hospital security cameras. Right now." "On it," he said. "What am I looking for?" "My mother, anywhere near my father's room or the pharmacy in the last hour." Lindsay paced nervously. "Blair, what if she really does something to him?" "She won't," I said, more confidently than I felt. "She needs him alive to maintain control. This is just to keep us away from the board meeting." My phone buzzed. Emerson calling. "Tell me you got my message," he said when I answered. "What message?" "The board meeting. Charlotte changed the venue. It's happening at Vernon Industries in 30 minutes. "What? That's not possible. It's 4 hours early." "She called an emergency session. Blair, they're voting on the sale right now." I looked at Lindsay, who nodded. "Go, I'll stay with Dad." "Send me the address," I told Emerson. "And Emerson, stall them, whatever it takes." I ran for the elevator, dialing Violet as I went. "Meet me at Vernon Industries. Bring everything. It's happening now." Racing through traffic, I called Ricky again. Tell me you found something. Better, he said. I found the pharmacy tech she bribed. He's willing to talk. Send his statement to Violet. Another text flashed on my screen. Running out of time, Blair. Just like Daddy. I gripped the steering wheel harder. Mom thought she had all the pieces in place, but she'd forgotten one thing. I had nothing left to lose. The Vernon Industries building loomed ahead, its glass towers reflecting the morning sun. Somewhere in there, my mother was about to destroy everything my father had built. Not if I could help it. The Vernon Industries security guard tried to stop me, but Emerson was already waiting in the lobby. 14th floor? He said as we rushed to the elevator. They're about to call the vote. Did you do what I asked? He patted his breast pocket. Recording device, as requested, caught every word of Charlotte's private meeting with the Vernon CEO before the board arrived. The elevator seemed to crawl. How bad? She promised him insider information about our overseas contracts. Illegal as hell. Perfect. My phone buzzed. Lindsay, Dad's awake. He's asking for you. The elevator doors opened to chaos. Board members clustered in small groups, whispering urgently. My mother stood at the head of the conference table looking triumphant. Blair, she said smoothly, how nice of you to join us, though I'm afraid you're not authorized to be here. Actually, Violet's voice rang out as she strode in behind me. She is. As a victim of corporate fraud, she has every right to address this board. Charlotte's smile tightened. There's nothing to address. The vote is about to begin. The vote is suspended, Violet announced, dropping a thick folder on the table. Pending a federal investigation. The room erupted in murmurs. Charlotte laughed, but I caught the fear in her eyes. Investigation into what? Fraud, embezzlement, attempted murder. I stepped forward. Should I go on, Mom? These are ridiculous accusations. Play the tape, Emerson. He pulled out the recorder, and Charlotte's voice filled the room. Once Harold's out of the picture, permanently this time, the board will have no choice but to approve the sale. The color drained from her face. That's doctored. Like the evidence you planted to frame me? I turned to the board. Check your emails. You'll find proof that Mrs. Mitchell has been secretly negotiating this sale for years, manipulating company finances and attempting to eliminate anyone who stood in her way. Phones began buzzing as Ricky's mass email hit their inboxes. Including her own husband, Violet added, whose medication was tampered with under her orders. We have the pharmacy tech's sworn statement. Charlotte's mask finally cracked. You ungrateful little... Mrs. Mitchell, the Vernon CEO interrupted, standing up. Is this true? Of course not. This is a desperate attempt by my daughter to... To what, Mom? I pulled out Dad's letter. To expose how you've been poisoning him, planning to seize control, destroying everyone who opposed you? You have no proof. Actually, Lindsay's voice came from the doorway. We do. She walked in, followed by our father in a wheelchair, still in his hospital gown, looking pale but furious. Harold, Charlotte whispered, you should be in the hospital. Signed myself out, he growled. Had to see for myself if what the girls told me was true. He held up his phone. Just watched your little meeting with the Vernon CEO. Very enlightening. Darling, I can explain. Save it for the prosecutors. Violet cut in. They're very interested in speaking with you. Charlotte's eyes darted around the room, finding no allies. In a flash, she lunged for her purse, but Emerson was faster. He grabbed it, spilling the contents, including a USB drive labeled contingency. Looking for this? I picked it up. Your insurance policy? Too late. We found all your blackmail material last night. You're making a mistake, she hissed. All of you. I built this company as much as Harold did. No, Mom. I stood directly in front of her. You just tried to destroy it, and now everyone knows exactly who you are. The elevator dinged, and 2 FBI agents stepped out. Violet nodded to them. Perfect timing, gentlemen. Charlotte Mitchell? One asked. We need you to come with us. As they led her away, she turned back one last time. Blair, remember what I taught you about revenge? That it's best served cold? I smiled. I remember, Mom. I learned from the best. The boardroom emptied quickly, the Vernon CEO practically running for the elevator. Dad wheeled himself to the head of the table, looking exhausted but relieved. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I should have seen it sooner. I knelt beside his chair. We all should have. The company is safe, Violet assured him, though we'll need to do damage control. Later, Lindsay said firmly. Right now you're going back to the hospital, Dad. And this time, I'm personally checking every medication. My phone buzzed one last time. An unknown number. Well played. But remember, some secrets stayed buried today. Don't go digging too deep. I deleted the message. Whatever other skeletons lurked in the company closet could wait. We had won the battle that mattered. Blair? Dad caught my hand. Thank you for fighting for the truth. I squeezed his hand, watching Lindsay gather his things. That's what family does, Dad. The real kind, anyway. Outside, I could hear sirens fading into the distance, carrying my mother away to face her consequences. It wasn't the birthday celebration I'd expected, but maybe it was the one we all needed. The next week passed in a blur of legal meetings, press statements, and hospital visits. Dad was recovering well, but the betrayal had aged him more than any medication ever could. I sat in his hospital room, watching him read through the company reports I'd brought. The board wants to meet tomorrow, I said. They're nervous about the publicity. Let them be nervous. He set down the papers. What your mother did, it's going to take time to rebuild trust. Dad, about the company. A knock interrupted us. Emerson stood in the doorway, looking uncomfortable. Harold Blair, we need to talk. If this is about the SEC investigation, I started, it's about the merger, the original one, 15 years ago. He closed the door. There are things you both need to know. Dad sat up straighter. Emerson, don't. They found the files, Harold. All of them. It's only a matter of time before the investigators piece it together. Piece what together? I looked between them. Emerson pulled up a chair. The company wasn't just yours to merge, Harold. You had a partner. Had being the operative word, Dad muttered. What partner? I demanded. Your Uncle Robert, Emerson said. Your mother's brother. The room went silent. I'd never heard of an Uncle Robert. He died in a car accident, Dad said quietly. 2 weeks before the merger. Convenient timing, I said, my stomach turning. Very, Emerson agreed, especially since he opposed the merger, was going to block it, in fact. That's enough, Dad snapped. No, it's not. Emerson turned to me. Your mother didn't start being manipulative recently, Blair. She's been playing this game for decades. Are you saying... I couldn't finish the question. The accident was never investigated properly, Emerson said. The police chief at the time was a close friend of your mother's. Dad's hands were shaking. I didn't know, not until after, when Charlotte let something slip. By then, the merger was complete. And you kept quiet? I stood up, anger rising. For 15 years? She had evidence, he said. Made it look like I was involved. Said if I ever told anyone, she'd destroy everything. The company, our family, everything. That's what was really on that USB drive, Emerson added. Not just recent blackmail material, proof of everything that happened back then. My phone buzzed. Violet, found something in the old files. Come to my office, now. I have to go, I said, grabbing my bag. The investigators will want to know about this. Blair, wait. Dad caught my arm. There's more. About Robert. About why your mother really wanted him gone. Tell me. He wasn't just opposing the merger. He was investigating Charlotte's connection to another death, your grandmother's. The room spun slightly. Grandma died of natural causes. That's what the death certificate says, Emerson said. But Robert had evidence suggesting otherwise. Another buzz? Lindsay this time? Mom's asking to see us. Says she'll tell everything. I showed them the message. Dad's face hardened. Don't trust her. She's trying to manipulate you again. Maybe, I said. But what if she's ready to confess to all of it? It's a trap, Emerson warned. Probably. But I need to know the truth. I headed for the door. All of it. Blair, Dad called after me. Whatever you learn. I'm sorry. I should have been stronger. Should have stopped her years ago. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. In the hallway, I called Lindsay. Meet me at Violet's office first. There's something we need to see before we talk to Mom. Already here, she said. Blair, it's bad. Really bad. How bad? Mom didn't just kill Uncle Robert. She killed 3 other people who got in her way. Violet found the proof in sealed records. I leaned against the wall, breathing deeply. Text me the address of Mom's holding facility. I'll be there in an hour. Be careful, Lindsay said. She's desperate now. Desperate people are dangerous. I know, that's counting on. I stepped into the elevator, my mind racing. All these years we'd lived with a monster, never seeing her true face. Now it was time to confront her, to hear her justify decades of murder and manipulation. My phone buzzed one last time. An unknown number again. Ask her about the summer house fire. Ask her why she really killed Robert. Some secrets are worth dying for. I saved the message. Whatever game my mother was playing, whatever secrets she still held, it ended today. One way or another, the truth would finally come out. The elevator doors opened and I stepped out into the sunshine, ready to face the darkness that had shaped our family for generations. It was time to hear my mother's confession. The prison visiting room was cold and sterile. My mother sat across from me in her orange jumpsuit, somehow still managing to look elegant. Lindsay gripped my hand under the table. My girls, Charlotte said softly. I knew you'd come. We're not here for a reunion, I said. We want the truth, about everything. She smiled that familiar, calculating smile. The truth? Are you sure you can handle it? Try us, Lindsay snapped. Start with Uncle Robert. Ah, Robert. She leaned back. My righteous big brother, always trying to protect me, even from myself, until he started digging into things that didn't concern him. Like Grandma's death? Mother was sick, Charlotte said sharply. She needed help ending her suffering. That wasn't your choice to make, I said. No? Like it wasn't my choice when your father wanted to sell the company to those vultures 15 years ago? Robert would have let it happen. So you killed him, Lindsay whispered. I protected what was ours. Charlotte's eyes flashed. Just like I protected us from the summer house fire that would have exposed everything. The insurance investigator, I realized, the one who disappeared. He was going to ruin us. I did what I had to do. And the others? I pulled out Violet's files. The accountant in 05, the board member in 12. Necessary sacrifices. They were people. Lindsay slammed her hand on the table. With families. Everything I did for our family, Charlotte hissed. To keep us powerful. To keep us wealthy. To give you girls everything. No. I stood up. You did it for yourself. Because you're a sociopath who can't stand losing control. She laughed, but there was an edge of desperation to it. You think you've won? You think exposing all this makes you powerful? She leaned forward. I still have one card left to play. Your hidden evidence? I smiled. The USB drive, already found it, along with the real records from the merger, the proof of your embezzlement, and your private accounts in the Caymans. For the first time, real fear crossed her face. It's over, Mom, Lindsay said. The FBI has everything. The DA is pressing charges for 4 counts of murder, attempted murder, fraud, and conspiracy. You're looking at life in prison, I added. No deals, no escape routes, just consequences. You ungrateful little... She lunged across the table, but the guards were faster, restraining her. I gave you everything. No, you took everything, I said calmly, and now we're taking it back. As the guards led her away, she screamed, You'll regret this, both of you. I'm still your mother. No, Lindsay called after her. You're just the woman who gave birth to us. There's a difference. Outside the prison, we sat in my car, processing. My phone buzzed. Dad, it's done. Board approved the restructuring. Company's safe. He did it, I told Lindsay. Dad secured the company. New board, new safeguards. And us? What do we do now? I started the engine. Now we rebuild. The right way. Blair? She touched my arm. I found something else in Mom's things. A letter from Uncle Robert written the day before he died. He knew what she was planning. He wrote that his biggest regret was not being able to protect us from her. Maybe we protected ourselves in the end, I said, by choosing truth over power, by being better than her. My phone buzzed again. Emerson. Board meeting tomorrow. They want to name you CEO. I showed Lindsay the message. She smiled. Take it. Show everyone what real leadership looks like. Only if you come back as CFO, I said. We do this together or not at all. Together, she agreed. No more secrets, no more lies. I pulled away from the prison, watching it shrink in my rearview mirror. My mother would spend the rest of her life there, surrounded by the consequences of her choices. You know what's funny? Lindsay said as we drove. She thought she was teaching us about power. Instead, she taught us about justice. And family, I added. The real kind. My phone lit up one last time. An unknown number. Congratulations, you won. But remember, power isn't just about control, it's about choice. I deleted the message without responding. We had all the power we needed now, the power of truth, of justice, and of real family bonds. Dad was waiting at the office with Emerson and Violet, ready to plan the company's future. A future built on honesty and integrity, not manipulation and fear. Ready? Lindsay asked as we pulled into the parking garage. I thought about everything we'd discovered, everything we'd overcome, about the strength we'd found in standing together against darkness. Ready, I said and stepped out into the light. Some people spend their lives seeking power, but real power comes from knowing who you are and standing firm in your truth. My mother never understood that, but we did, and that made all the difference.